Welcome to the Hunt Performance YouTube channel. Make sure you like and subscribe for more videos related to health and human performance. Today we will start with training intensity, aka workout intensity or exercise intensity. I'll get into the very important specifics of training intensity, starting with what it is. We will talk about the factors that go into intensity, such as heart rate, lactate threshold, and VO2 max. Then we'll get into how to calculate your own intensity values. Finally, I will finish with our key takeaways in one summation slide. So, what is training intensity? In physics, intensity is a measurable amount of property. In this case, our property is effort. The picture on the left is a professional cycling peloton towards the beginning of the race. The peloton is where effort is generally low and relatively easy for these guys. On the right is the finish of a Tour de France race, where effort is the highest since riders are putting out their maximum power to race to the line. Here, I'm just stating that effort is low or high, but it has to be quantified. Effort we put into our training is quantified in a few different ways. At home, if you work out often, you may have a wearable heart rate monitor, such as a watch or a monitor that wraps around your chest. This is the easiest way to quantify your training intensity. The higher the heart rate, the higher the effort, or training intensity. Another way to determine your effort is learning your lactate threshold. This is a bit harder to figure out as it does require blood tests during activity, but it's more accurate in determining effort. Testing your VO2 max is another way to quantify effort. This way is very accurate, but does require lab testing during exercise to get accurate measurements. Training intensity is split up into 3 zones. We have low, zone 1, medium, zone 2, and high, zone 3. Each zone is separated by a quantifiable barrier. It could be heart rate, lactate threshold, or VO2. If you want to use heart rate to determine your training zones, you must know your maximum heart rate, or the highest value your heart rate rises to during extremely hard exercise. Heart rate is measured in beats per minute, more often stated as BPM. To test this, you can do a 45-second all-out sprint on a bike or a run with a heart rate monitor and then find the maximum heart rate during that sprint. Of course, please warm up before the sprint. Once you figure it out, place that number here. My max heart rate during intense exercise, for example, is about 200 BPM. We will use this 200 BPM value to determine our zones. Let's focus on zone 1 using heart rate. Zone 1 is relatively easy and can be sustained for many hours if necessary. Using heart rate, zone 1 goes all the way up to 80% of your maximum heart rate, based on the 200 BPM max scale. 160 BPM is the limit for zone 1, low intensity workout. Zone 2 starts where zone 1 left off, at 80% or 160 BPM on my scale. It is sustainable for up to 2 hours if you are in the lower range of zone 2, and it goes from 80 to 90% of your maximum heart rate, meaning 160 to 180 beats per minute on my scale. Then there's zone 3, high intensity exercise. This is only sustainable for minutes and picks up where zone 2 left off at 90% maximum heart rate. It's anywhere between 90 and 100% of your maximum heart rate. in my case from 180 to 200 BPM. Here, you're able to insert your heart rate into the blanks to calculate your own intensity zones. If you do have access to a lactate blood test, you're able to determine your lactate threshold. Your lactate threshold, measured on a scale of 0 to 10 millimoles per liter of blood, is the point which your body produces and clears lactate at an equal rate. Lactate threshold is explained more in detail in another one of my videos linked below. This test will be much more accurate than a heart rate test. The point at which your blood lactate level is even, where the body produces and clears lactate at an equal rate, is between zones 2 and 3. Anything less than that lactate threshold is considered aerobic, while any exercise above this threshold is anaerobic. 75% of that threshold, where the body clears out lactate quickly, is between zones 1 and 2. Testing your VO2 max requires even more equipment, shown in the picture. This tests the maximal oxygen consumption that you can utilize during intense exercise and is best indicator of cardiovascular fitness. VO2 is measured in milliliters per kilogram of body weight per minute. VO2 is also explained in more detail in another video of mine, linked below. VO2 max is generally a bit higher than your lactate threshold, but for this instance, we will place it between zones 2 and 3, similar to lactate threshold. 80% of the VO2 max separates zones 1 and 2. Overall, your workout will always be in one of these three zones. The easiest method of calculating them is using your heart rate, measured in beats per minute. With a blood lactate test, you can measure your lactate threshold, or you could train in the lab to determine your VO2 max to accurately measure your training intensity zones. Thanks for checking out this Hunt Performance video on training intensity. Hopefully you use this knowledge to perform better from here on out. If you do, make sure you like and subscribe for more.